National Wrestling Coaches Association is a nonprofit 501c3 organization. It was established in 1928. We've got 34 board of directors comprised primarily of elite high school and college coaches. We have governing bodies such as the NCAA, the NAIA, National Junior College. You have USA Wrestling, the National High School Federation, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. So it's a board of directors that represents a wide array of wrestling entities within our sport. We have 6 full-time staff headquartered here in Manheim, Pennsylvania. We have approximately 10,000 members, and we have educational programs that serve over 220,000 middle school, high school, and college wrestlers each year. The mission of the NWCA is pretty simple. It's to increase the number of wrestlers, coaches, and wrestling programs at every level, but primarily from the youth level all the way through college. And we really have 3 core competencies, if you will, that are aimed at accomplishing that mission. The first and foremost would be coaching development. We maintain that nobody plays a more important role in the future of our sport than the head coach at every level. We also want to do everything we can to strengthen the alignment of wrestling with educational values on every high school and college campus across the country. Second core competency would be what we call student wrestler welfare. Things like skin infection prevention, improving academic performance, eligibility and graduation rates, minimizing injury in our sport, those types of things. And then the third core competency would be what we call the promotion of the sport. And for the most part, we have a couple signature events, but what we really try to do is to empower coaches with tools and resources to promote their programs in the communities and regional areas where they reside. There's really 2 primary goals that the National Wrestling Coaches Association is pursuing as it relates to our sport. And first, we want to make sure we do everything we can to increase the number of wrestlers, coaches, and programs at every level, but primarily from the youth level all the way through college. And secondly, we really want to position our sport in such a way that both wrestling enthusiasts and non-wrestling people think of wrestling as the ultimate sport or the gold standard sport as it relates to supporting the greater educational mission of schools across the country. By that we're talking about we want wrestling to be thought of as a sport that conducts itself in the highest ethical manner. We want to be recognized as a sport with the highest graduation rates. We want to be recognized as a sport that typically dedicates the most number of community service hours. A sport that represents the highest standard in sportsmanship and things of that nature. And with all the controversy that's going on in intercollegiate and interscholastic athletics across the country, there's never been a more important time for the wrestling community to step out and really lead. And we look forward to that challenge and working with other groups within our sport to accomplish those goals. So with respect to changes on the NWCAonline.com website this year, there's really 2 big ones. One of the things we've done is we've, over the last 6 months, have collected a lot of interviews with coaches, high school coaches, youth coaches, college coaches, and we've interviewed them on various aspects of coaching. There's a lot of great content from some of the best coaches across the country, and it'll be very engaging for the wrestling community to listen to what they have to say. The second big change will be through a new partnership that we've entered into with track wrestling. In the past, we've done a very good job with live scoring of dual meets, but now we have an opportunity to do a much better job with the live scoring of tournaments. And not just the scoring of the tournaments, but the recording of statistical data of wrestlers and of teams. So when you go to NWCAonline.com, I think you're going to see a much more dynamic site that has new content on it on a regular basis. In addition to the very comprehensive technique library that we have, one of the things that we know to be true as we've traveled the countryside is most of our coaches are very proficient in the technical, tactical aspects of coaching. But what's driving our coaches out of the profession are the non-technical, tactical duties and responsibilities that they're now accountable to, particularly in the educational environment. So one of the products we've recently put together is the equivalent of a standard code of operating procedure manual for a coach. Many of our coaches across the country were like myself. I was 23 years old and I was a head coach, and I spent a lot of my time reinventing processes that were already in place out there. So we've collected a lot of great material from coaches across the country. With all the administrative aspects of running a program, be it at the high school level or the college level, and we've assembled them into one manual. So two things can happen. For that young coach that just gets hired, that coach that has less than 3 to 5 years of experience, it's a great blueprint for a coach to follow this map. For the more experienced coaches, we really need our experienced coaches across the country to help us accelerate the development of apprentice coaches. And this resource manual organizes content in such a way that it makes it a lot easier for our head coaches, both at the high school and college level, to really be bringing along the next generation or future head coaches. So we're really excited about that. We also have a lot of online courses that are really geared towards improving the way we recruit and we retain wrestlers in our sport. I mentioned previously that about 25% of individual high school dual meet matches are forfeits. And we always say that a forfeit represents one of two things. It represents a student walking around in the hallways that was once part of our sport that is no longer, or it represents a student walking around the hallways that's never been invited into our sport. So we've reached out to the very best coaches that we have across the country, and we've collected the best practices that they've used for keeping healthy roster numbers in their respective teams. And we've packaged them in such a way that it would be great for any high school coach out there that might be struggling in that area. And of course, we also have online courses that are aimed at strengthening the alignment of wrestling with educational values. Courses that talk about a student-centered approach to coaching, making sure that our decisions always have the best interest of the student in mind first. We want to make sure that wrestling's recognized for high academic achievement, for the character of the wrestlers that graduate and go on and become leaders in a lot of different facets of careers, that kind of thing. And then we've got some in all of our coaching education courses, there's a strong element of just making sure we're providing a safe and healthy experience for our wrestlers across the country. So we want to make sure we minimize injury, those types of things. And again, at 30,000 feet, we really want to move our sport towards one that's recognized for having a very close association with educational values.